Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth and Thomas. And before I even begin, I wonder, hearing just the value and the meaning and the weight of the last hour. I'm curious if you have any special guidance in terms of anything that I could adjust or supplement, because I want to make sure that as long as it's skillful to maintain the continuity and hold the continuity of what you have been holding for the past 7 hours.
To be very precise and short, but what you are doing, in my understanding, is the continuity.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, both are your bearing witness practice as a life practice. You are being in Poland right now with the situation, helping the refugees, and also with your rabbinic background and the spiritual roots of that also in the Ukraine. There's so much in that I think directly connects where we come from right now.
Mm-hmm.
And to maybe just share from your own experience how this connects for you is maybe a good starting point.
Thank you.
And I think giving people space to be with us and have a way to do that would be helpful.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So thank you, Elizabeth and Thomas. And as I'm taking a breath with all of you right now, acknowledging this body, this breath, these feelings, sights and sounds that you may have heard. I know the experiences that I've experienced in the last few weeks. I want to even point out just this simple exchange of courtesy and care. And it may seem that it was just between Thomas and Elizabeth and I. But in fact, we were caring for something else. We were caring for a thread of presence, of attunement. When that thread is dropped because we're in a hurry or we have agendas, when you take that to the extreme, that's what's happening in the Ukraine right now. So as I'm entering this space with you, some of you have been in this space for several hours now, I consciously weaving my thread of awareness with yours. And I'm honored to do that. I'm also weaving the doings of the last several weeks that I've spent in Poland. And in a way, coming here is a way for me to both vocalize and give some form to that experience. Thomas mentioned that I have a Jewish background. I was born in Israel. And my paternal grandfather came from a town called Przemyśl, which is on the east side of Poland and closest to the border of Ukraine. Whenever I speak of it to my father or his cousins, there's always a bit of discomfort because that city had 1,000 years of history, of Jewish history there. And they were all killed during the Holocaust. So when I heard that the refugees from Ukraine are rushing to trains and their first stop after the border is that city, Shemesh, my heart opened. And I felt the presence of my grandfather, and I felt his heart open. How a place that was held with such anxiety before can now be a home, or at least a place of safety to those who experienced what some of you have been bearing witness to in the past hour or even more. There was something redeeming to a place to me in that. And the place is one of the words, one of the sacred words in my people's religion, in Judaism. The place, hamakom, the place itself is both a place to experience this presence and also to be healed. So I felt called to be there. I happened to recognize that the time of the year on the Jewish calendar was Passover, which is a sacred week that celebrates the exodus, right, of the people from oppression. And it felt very meaningful to go and bear witness to a present day exodus, woven with my own personal life story, but really to just be there, bring to reality all the stories that I was hearing, just like you, on TV and radio and the internet. So part of my practice and part of what Elizabeth and Thomas spoken of as bearing witness is also simply to bridging the gap, make it real for me. So I traveled light. I only had a backpack and a side bag, and I didn't have any plans. I didn't have much contacts, and I followed my trust in not knowing. And this is trust in not knowing. This care to not knowing is exactly that same thread of care that Thomas, Elizabeth, and I just passed to one another. And hopefully we can manifest with every breath that we're taking. As you're listening to me, as we're entering a portal of this hour, and some of you have been in this portal for longer. And like I said, I've been in this portal for several weeks now in my own way, in my own portal, and it's very moving to me to now share that with you. Taking that week of Passover was to create a container for me, the same way that we have 12 hours here. So we were creating a container that feels safe and we can really go deep into it. So that's what I did for that week. And that was there's many stories that I can share. And I actually wrote a travelogue, and I can post later a link to it that you can read a bit more of the details of what brought me there, the first few days, the day of Passover, the week of Passover. But for the time that we have, and I have to apologize, my voice is very susceptible to pollen, and this is spring in the Tatra Mountains in Poland, so there's so much pollen in the air right now. I hope my voice is clear. So I thought to share with you something that I've never done before, part of this stepping into not knowing, part of this portal that we're creating. And I'm taking a moment to review how best to move through it. So I feel like I've spoken, and there's time for some melody. And melody for me is a way to both attune, bring my mind to both stillness and a spaciousness that I can bear witness to my heart, my body. And also hearing that the past hour has been very meaningful and had a strong emotional charge. I would love to just offer this melody. And this melody is called the Dov Ber Nigun. And the Nigun is a contemplative melody that Jewish mystics would repeat for minutes, hours, to train in what they would call dvekut, which you may have heard in Hinduism or Buddhism, samadhi, to really return into that oneness. Sometimes they have words, sometimes they just let the sound take them. So I just want to hum it for a little bit, and then I'll give a bit more context. And I invite you to just practice listening. You can close your eyes if you need to. There's no need to keep your eyes open on me. If at some point you pick up the tune and you'd like to follow it while your mic is muted, you can do that. Perhaps your body would like to sway or move, or be still. Let it be a channel. Let your body be like a reed. Like the poet Rami says, to be like a reed so the breath can live through. Really just let your body and mind and heart be however feelings come up as you hear this tune, emotion, images, really like a reed. Ay, ay, hararay, ha. Ay, 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 oh. This nigun, this melody, is attributed to one of either two Jewish mystics, either Dov Ber or Baal Shem Tov from Ukraine. They taught in early 18th century in Mezerich, which is the center, south center of Ukraine. And the two of them, and especially the Baal Shem Tov, really were the propagators of several dynasties of mystics that some survive to today. So Ukraine has its long roots of a human soul from that form. There's nothing special in a way about it. The nigun that I share with you is simply part of the skill set and part of the language that I inherited. So I invite you, if your eyes are still closed, we will go on a few minutes of a journey, if you'd like to do it inside, to visualize a scene that I'll invite you into. And I'll weave little by little a bit more from this nigun, more layers. So I invite you to walk with me towards the train station in Chemichel. As I'm walking outside just before dusk, as I'm facing the front door, to the left of me, there's a tent. And in the tent, there's food offered to travelers coming in with their suitcases, wrapped in clear tape. Children with backpacks, mostly women of different ages, as adults. They come in and are served food by international volunteers, people from destinations just like you, people who traveled and responded just like you. Walking outside, stepping through one door that leads into the hallway of that train station. It is filled to such a degree that you cannot shift 2 feet or half a meter to either side without bumping to a person. Some people are sitting on plastic crates. Some people are returning from a ticket booth that turned to a food booth and snack where people can go and get a cup of coffee. more volunteers just like you from around the world walking around in vests that has the initials of the languages that they speak, so people can reach out to them and speak to them and ask for direction. People who are holding pets, cats, dogs. The dogs and the cats are quiet, as if they know that something meaningful is happening, not wanting to add more distress to their owners. People are packed light, maybe a backpack and a small suitcase. So I invite you to stand with me at the corner of that hall of the Przemyśl train station. And all of a sudden a line is starting to form. And that line is forming for 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour. And then it moves out, possibly to a train whose destination is either into Poland or into other European states. And some of them were actually going back into Ukraine. There were trains and people were loading on trains to go to Lviv, to Kiev, to places where the fightings subsided. And more people are gathering in. So as you're standing there in that corner with me, that was my first afternoon as I visited Przemyśl. Naturally, I was moved, overwhelmed. So I started chanting that melody that I shared with you. And I repeated it for about 2 hours as I saw people moving, coming and going. The only thing I could do in terms of offering a sense of stability to my own mind and hopefully passing it out. I didn't do it out loud. It was not my intention to come out and add curiosities or I didn't know. At that moment, I just did it through my heart. I had my COVID mask on, so I was moving my lips. And in that way, I was giving forth those sounds. And what I chanted along with this melody is a 2,000-year-old prayer. 2,000-year-old prayer. This is the time it was composed by a rabbi called Hananiah. About 100 years after the life of Jesus. And it's a prayer that has 7 lines. And it calls to all of the qualities that one invokes and wishes and yearns for in terms of safety, in terms of guidance, connection with unity, to feel seen and heard. It doesn't use any words like God or divine, but it uses the word knower of mystery. So I'll chant that with you. And as I do that, I want to show you here, I'm holding the thread. I'm wondering what is actually the most skillful right now. So I'm taking a breath with you. אנא בכוח גדולת ימינך תטיל צבוע קבל וינתמך סגבנו תהרנו נורא So if you're listening to this chant, even if the words are not familiar or the language is foreign, simply let them pass through you like an empty reed. Let your heart blow through that reed, however it is. Nagibhom doshe yechudecha kevavat shamrem yada 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 barchem tahavem rachmei tzidkatecha tamid gamlem yada yada yada. Imagining the people close to you, shoulder by shoulder in that train station. Parents, children, taking a breath with you. Chasin kadosh verov tuvecha nahel adatecha yachid ge'el le'amcha pnei זוכרי קדושתך ידעי. Think about the simple yearnings that the people in your mind's eye are feeling. Think about the yearnings that you're feeling. Have you traveled to unknown destinations with little belongings? Shvatenu kabel ושמע צעקתנו יודע תלמוד ידעי. Taking a breath with this word of yearning. So I would do this, and I would come into this train station every day for that week of Passover. And at times I'll sit in silence, and at times I will chant that under my mask. And at other times I would bring with me boxes of crayons. So another thing that I do as an artist, I enjoy sitting with strangers and finding ways to connect even when language is not available. So as I was sitting in that train station for a few hours each day, sometimes I'll make eye contact with children and I'll flash the crayons in front of them and they'll get interested. And sometimes their parents got interested. So what followed were wonderful, intimate, awkward, painful moments of fumbling through language with complete strangers. You could read more about that in the travelogue. But what I want to share with you from that time are some of the drawings that we did together, that I did, and some of the drawings that the children did with me. So take a breath as I set up the pictures. So as you're hearing the melody and looking at the drawings, remember that behind each one is a person. Travelers coming from a place that was known and moving to a place that is unknown. You can only imagine what they felt. As the children were looking down to draw, I would draw them. So this was Lata. Some of them drew me as I was sitting across them. This was drawn by Zlata. This is Igori. You could see him holding the drawing just with one hand. He was disabled on his other side. And he was missing his family, and he was taking a train back into Ukraine. He didn't feel that he had more prospects away, and he was missing his parents. And And as we're watching these photographs, seeing small hands holding crayons, imagining the relief of their parents standing beside them. May the breath that you're taking right now carry forth the prayers of safe travel to all. This was Maxim. He was interviewed to the Polish TV there. His eyes were beaming, and his father behind him, oh so proud. They were traveling back into Kiev as well, into a land that they love. So just take a moment here. Simple breath. Recognizing that this breath travels from mystery and into mystery. And the individuals that we've seen in these drawings and these photographs, as I am and as you are the same. Coming from mystery, moving into mystery. Only that we as humans, we feel and we yearn. And in our travels, we yearn for safety, to be loved. So whether your eyes are closed or open, or however you perceive your connection right now with this mystery and with each other and with the individuals that you've borne witness to before, the previous hours, and in this hour together, and the drawings, we've woven our threads together while we travel. You can only imagine, and hopefully feel a sliver of what our siblings in Ukraine are feeling. If there's anything that I've came back with and bore witness to the most, is resilience of these parents, these children, that even in these unimaginable circumstances, they were able to take care of each other, orient towards what's good and safe, and cry out for help. And here we are, in support of that. So I weave together my prayers to Maxime and to Serafina and to Solomia and to the other Maxime and Maxime's father and Igory, all the others that I've met and all the others that we've borne witness to today. And I'll add an English translation to the traveler's blessing, which is a Jewish blessing that people will take before going on journeys. And in a way, we all are. Oh, great mystery. Mystery that has supported our ancestors. May you bring us to peace. May you walk us in our footsteps toward peace. And bring us to our refuge and destination, to life, to joy. Save us from the hands of our enemies, unknowns and chaotic circumstances of weather and animals, and send blessing into everything that we encounter. Bring us grace and loving kindness to all those who see us and to all those that we see. And let us receive their kindness and let us be kind. Hear our prayers, because that's what you do, mystery. Thank you for holding the thread of attention and presence. And as we're moving into a time before the next presentation, I invite you to keep that presence however you take care of yourself, moment by moment. Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you, Thomas, for organizing. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions. And may peace prevail. May peace prevail. Thank you.
Rami, thank you very much. Thank you very much for what you brought us to here and what we were able to witness through you. Thank you.
And thank you for your work, your life work. It opens doors for all of us.
And as we move into the break until the top of the hour, let's do as Rami suggested. Try to stay in this.